Vasundhara Oswal, the 26-year-old daughter of Indian origin billionaire Pankaj Oswal, had almost everything that people could only dream about. Born into a very wealthy family, she lived in absolute luxury in Switzerland, surrounded by breathtaking snow valleys and residing in a mansion fit for royalty. But in a cruel twist of fate, her privileged life turned into a nightmare when she was thrown into a filthy Uganda jail. In that particular prison, where she would face a level of suffering that she had never even imagined about. It all started back in October 2024 when Uganda police arrested Vasundhara on shocking charges, kidnapping and murdering a former employee of her father. The accusations alone were horrifying. But you know what made this particular situation even more surreal was the alleged victim was later found alive in Tanzania. Despite this, Vasundhara remained locked up in prison for weeks, enduring conditions that seemed ripped straight from a horror movie. She claimed that she was starved, deprived of water, denied access to even a washroom, and even not allowed to bath. Days turned into nights in a rotting, overcrowded prison cell where there were rats all around, and air was thick because of the smell of unwashed bodies and sewage. But the terror didn't stop there. According to Vasundhara, her arrest wasn't just unlawful, it was brutal and humiliating. She alleged that Uganda police stormed into her house without a search warrant. When she had the audacity to question them, they laughed in her face and they said, "This is Uganda. We can do anything here. You are not in Europe." It was a clear message that she had no rights, no power, and no escape. She was informed that she would be taken to Interpol headquarters, but when she hesitated, she claimed that a male police officer threw her over her shoulder like a sack of meat and stuffed her into a van. For 5 long days, she was kept in detention before being thrown into a high-security prison, a hellhole reserved for the most dangerous criminals. She described how she was punished like an animal, denied even the most basic human dignity. She was given no food, no water, and no access to washroom. When she begged for a chance to relieve herself, she was forced to hold it for hours, sometimes even days, as a form of punishment. Her only lifeline was her parents, who she claimed that had to bribe corrupt police officers just to get food and basic necessities through her lawyers. Even then, the officers would take their own time, letting her suffer just to prove their power over her. But yes, this incident did not just end with her hunger and thirst. Despite being granted bail multiple times, she was kept behind the bars. On October 10, when news broke that the man that she was accused of murdering was actually alive, she should have been released immediately. But instead, she claimed that she was left to rot in the cell, forgotten and abandoned. When she was finally granted bail, she was forced to pay an amount of 30,000 US dollars and surrender her passport. But even when, after meeting every demand, she wasn't set free, she alleged that she was illegally detained for an additional 72 hours, held hostage by a system that seemed to thrive on power and corruption. Then comes December 19, 2024. After months of torture and physical trauma, the Uganda court dismissed the case against her. But the scars of her ordeal will never fade. Vasundhara is now demanding justice, calling on the Uganda government to take the full responsibility to its actions. She said, and I quote, "We invested in business there, but because of their corrupt system, I had to suffer so much. It is now their responsibility to fix their system." Well, she said this while vowing to take legal action. But you know what? Her case isn't just about one wealthy woman suffering. It exposes a much darker reality about Uganda's justice system. Many human rights organizations have long raised alarms about Uganda's corrupt prison condition, where prisoners are starved, beaten, and kept in cells so overcrowded that some are forced to sleep standing up. Reports reveal that in 2023 alone, over 100 cases of wrongful imprisonment were documented, many involving detainees held without trial for months and even years. Her story raises a terrifying question. If a billionaire's daughter, with all her money and influence, could be treated like this, what happens to the ordinary people who have no resources, no connections, and no voice? How many innocent lives have been crushed under the weight of corruption, lost forever in Uganda's brutal prison system? Well, Vasundhara Oswal's fight for justice is not just her own. It is the fight for countless people trapped in the broken system where bribery, torture, and cruelty are the law of the land. The world is watching, but will Uganda be forced to change it, or will more people suffer in silence?